You've been saying for months you don't feel emotionally connected, but every time someone reaches toward you, you either don't respond or you shut down. This is Dr. EJ with Car Chronicles for Christians. Let's talk about it. There's something I've been sitting with, and I think it's worth saying out loud. Some people carry a complaint that they're not emotionally connected to the people in their lives, and honestly, that's a real pain. Feeling disconnected in any relationship is exhausting because it's lonely, it's hurtful, but these are the kind of feelings that matter and have to be discussed. But here's also what I've noticed, and I'm going to ask you to stay with me on this. Sometimes, just sometimes, the person making the complaint is also the same person who doesn't respond when someone reaches towards them. They don't affirm it, they don't acknowledge it, they don't receive it. The effort goes out and it just lands on nothing. And then, and this is the part that gets me, when the other person finally tries to name what might be getting in the way, when they try to say, hey, I noticed something that might be making it hard for us to connect, the walls all of a sudden go up. Here comes denial, here comes defensiveness, and suddenly the conversation is about why they're being attacked instead of what was actually being said. So think about what that means. They're not connecting, they won't receive connection when it's offered, and they won't hear what's blocking it. That's not a connection problem. That's an avoidance issue that's dressed up in the language of longing. And here's the part that stings a little, because I want to be honest. A lot of people in that position are genuinely good at talking about emotional connection. They can describe it, they can advise other people on it. They probably believe they're the emotionally available one in the room. But understanding what something looks like is not the same as doing it. And when your grasp of the concept becomes the reason you don't think the concept applies to you, that's a dangerous place to be, because you've essentially made your knowledge a substitute for your character. You know the thing well enough to believe you already are the thing. That's not maturity. That's a very sophisticated kind of self-deception. And from a spiritual standpoint, this is exactly the kind of drift that's hard to catch because it hides in plain sight. It doesn't look like rebellion. It doesn't feel like sin. It feels like self-awareness. But Christ-like maturity isn't just knowing what love looks like. Paul was clear. Love actually does something. It bears, it endures, it receives. It doesn't perform openness while protecting itself from every real moment of it. So I want to ask you a real question, and what I want you to sit in the car with for just a moment. Is there someone in your life who has been reaching towards you? They've been trying to help, trying to make things better, not perfectly, but genuinely. And have you been receiving it with silence, or worse, turning it into evidence against them? Because the person closest to you sees what your audience doesn't see. They see what happens when the camera's off and the advice you give publicly meets the moments that happen privately. Putting away childish things means more than growing up in what you know. It means growing up in how you actually show up. Not just having the language of connection, but being connectable, receivable, honest enough to hear that you might be the one holding the door closed. And that's a hard thing to sit with, but the car is a good place to sit with the hard things. Drive safe. This is Dr. EJ with your Car Chronicles for Christians.